I think it's important to know that the world, for some reason, buys bad news, meaning they buy into it. Like whether it be in your own house, in your own friend setting, sometimes where people like to join in. Oh, did you see what he did? Oh my God, yeah, he's terrible. Like instead of standing up for people or just leaving the room. Look, I don't feel comfortable when people start talking bad about others. If you give it time, you'll be able to see it. Time will heal everything. And to be grateful and teach people to be grateful. It's crazy to think that people aren't grateful no matter what. You're breathing, you're walking, you have the chance to explore, let's just call it the forest, the beautiful world that we all are able to walk out and go to a park, go to a beach.
Focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks.
What is up, my main man? How are you, brother?
Brother from another mother.
How are you?
You're looking tanner than normal.
Well, you know, it's what happens, man, when you're around all these palm trees, man. Sun in palm tree.
I know. I gotta
Nothing.
I want to make sure I have the greatest background possible. I think I might just go with water.
I would go with that because the other one looks like you were like in the clouds or something.
Yeah, the other one was just not appealing. What's up, man? What are you doing? What are you you're in your office right there. I saw that studio. I went up there and checked it out.
Yeah. Oh, did you come up here and check it out?
Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah. No, we're getting it all set up. And matter of fact, I got my new little microphone arm today. So we're good. We got a little mixer going on. We got some new lighting up here, some new LED beautiful lights. And so we're doing some good stuff. So we're making some progress here. So next time we get on a podcast, you will be here. We'll be doing it live. Okay. So
I like it. Yeah, I've got actually a light. If you can tell, I have actually a podcast light on me.
I can see it.
I don't know if you can
in
tell.
your eyes. Yeah, it looks good, man. It looks good.
Yeah. I got my hat on today because that's just the way it is. I got like to be the light.
All right, man. Well, good news only. So you are Mr. Mike Nicklas. Thank you for being on Wealth on the Beach podcast with me. And one of my most favorite people in the world.
So nice.
Good news only. And so, you know, look, man, you know, I never asked you this question, and we had a lot of conversations, but I never asked you what is the biggest risk that you've taken in business, and how did it pay off?
For some reason I'm losing you. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think reception. I don't know.
I don't know if it was me or you or what. So let's make sure that we're good. Because I literally just did a full hour with my team and nothing got stuck. So I am definitely good. But this is what I'm going to do. We're gonna get off and we're gonna jump right back on because I want to make sure that that everything's good. Okay. Well, you know, hey, look, man, this is Wealth on the Beach Club and Wealth on the Beach podcast. Well, let me start over. Well, this is Wealth on the Beach podcast, and we're with Mike Nicklas. And you know, Mike, man, I mean, we've kind of known each other for a little while now. We've become kind of buddies, man. You are one of my favorite people, favorite humans. You know why you're one? I was just telling somebody this the other day. The reason why I am so just excited about knowing you is because you're like one of the most positive people in the world, man. I mean, you're positive, you're happy, you're optimistic, you believe that the future is brighter and greater and great things are going to happen to us. And how did you get that way, man? Were you just born that way? Did you learn to do that? I mean, did your mama make you like that? Well, how'd you get like that?
Well, you know, optimism to me isn't just about expecting, you know, the best. It's about believing in the power of possibilities, you know? Like to me, even when the odds seem stacked against any of us, it's a mindset that turns our challenges and our opportunities and setbacks into stepping stones. And since I was a kid, I had, you know, unfortunately experienced death at a very young age with my father a brother, a sister, an uncle, an aunt. Like my social gatherings when I was a child were often with cousins at funerals. So we were a Catholic family. We'd have funerals, and that's when we would see everybody, and then we would celebrate their life at our house or somebody's house. And I just realized how grateful I was for when I had people in my life to make sure that I was the light for them. So I became sort of like a lighthouse for anybody. I wanted them, if they came by me, I was the person that would ask you. I'd come into the room and ask more about others than myself. So I would be the person that would say, "There you are," rather than "Here I am."
Were you one of those people that are you one of those people that you feel like giving is better than receiving sometimes? I mean, is that?
Oh, absolutely. I think serving others first is always good. I think I had a philosophy since I was young of other fellows first. And if it was ever about me, I really didn't enjoy my day as much. And I think by focusing on others first, you're always going to be blessed by what comes back at you,
It's kind of like, I've always thought about it like the law of attraction, right? I mean, whatever you're putting out, you're getting much more back. I think, I mean, I always focused on serving other people. If I can help enough people get what they want, I just always seem to get more than I ever even wanted or expected. And I don't know, do you feel that way a little bit?
Yeah, I think the whole theory behind good news only is that I want to be the person that the only time I ever put my hand down on someone is to help them up. And so the good news only theory is certainly things aren't always perfect. Things happen. You have death, you have sickness, you have all sorts of trauma that happens to all of us. We're not alone on that. And then I think that the good news is I get to decide how I react to it. So it's my choice how I react. It's like I always tell people, it's if you don't change, it's still your choice, So be the person that is in the room that people like being with. Don't be toxic. Don't be negative. Don't talk about others. I think those are just bad habits. You ever been in a room where you're tolerated rather than celebrated? I want to get out of the room I'm just tolerated in, and I spend much more time in the celebration room. And I mean that wholeheartedly. And it's okay that I'm not tolerated in certain rooms. That's okay. I'm not. I move on. It's like, and you and I both know that as adults. You're a little bit younger than me, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
Well, I am biologically only 43, just so you know. So I just turned 50 years old, but I'm actually just biologically 43. But Mike, is it just like society? Like, how did we get to this place where, because I'm like you, man. I mean, and I think that's why we like hanging, because we're pretty positive people, and not, obviously we've had our share of problems, and we'll talk about some of those today. But as lessons and just letting people know that just because you're positive doesn't mean you have this perfect life and everything is always perfect. But is it like just society that's created this wealth of negativity around the world, man? It seems like it's almost like cool to be pissed off or negative or always complaining and gossiping and all this shit. Like, what's your thoughts on that, man?
I think it's important to know that the world, for some reason, buys bad news, meaning they buy into it. Like whether it be in your own house, in your own friend setting, sometimes where people like to join in. Oh, did you see what he did? Oh my God, yeah, he's terrible. Like, instead of standing up for people or just leaving the room. Look, I don't feel comfortable when people start talking bad about others. It's very uncomfortable for me. And I think part of it is to be present. Now is the only moment we have, right? So don't ruin it by dwelling in sorrow of somebody else or breaking out the violin. I have an amazing family. I've still got six of us in my family. My mother's alive at 90 years old. And, we try not to play the violin on each other. And I have a few of my family members that they know, like my sister Jerry, God bless her, she's so awesome. When I call her, I always try to tell her, hey, look, it's all about good news. You know me, we're only going to talk about good news, because some people like to wallow in sorrow. They like to just talk about what's going wrong and why somebody did this. I look at the mirror every night, and I don't look out the window and blame the world. I look in the mirror and blame myself for anything. That's just the only way to be, right?
And do you think that let's look at the other angle, right? Because there could be people that will say things like, well, Mike, I'm just going through a bad time and I need to release it out of me, and I need to tell people about my problems, and I need to, really share my truth with others. And, so what's wrong with that, Mike? I mean, how come I can't just share my truth? I'm being truthful. I'm being authentically me in this moment of pain and sorrow. And why would you dismiss that by saying, let's just be positive and let's forget about it?
Here's your chance to be the light, right? You could say, hey, the key to truth is to remember we're on a journey, and there's no final version of you or me. You'll never reach a point where you've arrived at your ultimate self, because it's not about reaching a destination. It's about growing during that journey that you're allowed to have. And that's truth. The truth is, we're all in this together. So if I'm in the same room with that person, I can choose to help them with the answer to that and get them through this moment in time. Because I don't like to define people by bad moments, bad trauma. I like to define them as where we could go as we sit here to get and overcome it. Because the other side of challenge is actually bliss in my eyes. It's just a matter of getting through it. The other side, life's not easy. I promise you, it is not easy. And I completely understand that. But man, it's worth it when you get those moments and those memories that we all get to have. You could say you don't have them, but you're going to have them. You're going to have a child. You're going to be out swimming or snorkeling. You're going to be sailing on a boat with a bunch of friends and laughing. You're going to be at a party in the backyard where somebody has a horse as a statue, and you're going to look around and go, wow, this person, I admire them so much because they did this. They actually accomplished this on their own. And the fact is everybody can, because the world is full of possibilities.
Dennis Prager, I don't know if you ever heard of Dennis Prager, but
I have.
Dennis Prager, one of my mentors in life, actually. I mean, I've listened to him, forever, for over 20 years probably. And Dennis Prager, he wrote a book about happiness. And I remember him saying that it is our duty to be happy. It's like, as a human being, because like you were saying, we're all in this together, and it's our duty to be happy. Now, doesn't mean that sometimes we don't go in the closet and cry and we, have moments of desperation or depression or issues or whatever. But when we leave that door of our home, when we get out into the world, our job as fellow human beings, kind of like a team, like we're part of a big team, especially as Americans, right? I mean, I know this. People are listening to this all over the world, and I would say the same thing for for your country, but as a member of society, I think that it's our duty when we walk out to smile and to be happy and to bring joy, as much joy and happiness to others as possible. Yes, we're going to have bad days, but do we got to share those bad days with so many other people and infect, almost like a disease, right? You go and infect. I mean, if you had a cold or a cough or a flu, you wouldn't just go coughing in people's, faces all day long. You would, cover yourself, or you would stay home or whatever. But I kind of think joy and happiness needs to be spread more. That's why I love your Good News Only brand, because it's spreading happiness. It's talking about the good things. Why can't we, why can't there be news about awesome things that are happening in life, instead of always hearing about death and disease and war and scandals and all this stuff? And so I don't know. I love Dennis Prager, because I never forgot that when I leave my house, I want to be the most positive person that I can be, to infect, people with joy versus something bad.
I think in life you're given gifts. We all are. And the ultimate goal in life, I think, is to give away your gifts, right? My gift is definitely energy. I mean, even when somebody who is not doing so well, I probably will go to them and let them know that, things are quietly unfolding. If you give it time, you'll be able to see it. Time will heal everything. And to be grateful and teach people to be grateful. It's crazy to think that people aren't grateful no matter what. You're breathing, you're walking, you have the chance to explore. Let's just call it the forest, the beautiful world that we all are able to walk out and go to a park, go to a beach. It's and to go out when you're out there to exude kindness. You never know what other people are going through. To your point earlier, you have to we have to choose to spread love. It's a choice when we have good energy. It's like, I don't know, but like if I had Winnie the Pooh as my story, I always tell people, if you were at a choice to be Eeyore or Tigger, who would you be? I mean, it's a simple answer, right? It's Tigger. I often ask that question to people in the business environment, and it's funny to think how many people are stumped by who they would choose, because when you look at Eeyore, he's kind of like he's going to lose his tail. It's going to rain today. He's the moper. He hasn't decided to have a good day, and he's going to get there, but he needs help. Christopher Robin has to help him out, before he goes into the enchanted forest with him. Makes sense.
It's wild, man. So look, man, obviously good news and positivity, at least for me, I see the most successful people that way. And a lot of successful people. And again, they're not always, super positive and excited all the time. But I do notice, at least for me and the mentors that I've had, one of my best mentors, Art Williams, used to always say 90% of winning is just being excited. Like being excited about something and wanting something better in life. And so, man, I mean, we get each other. It makes sense. And you've been successful. You've had your share of success in your life, man. And you've done some really big things. But what I really want to know, though, is what is one of the biggest risks that you've ever taken, and how did it pay off for you, business-wise, financial-wise for you?
Or even not pay off, right? So I could talk about that because, hey, look, nobody really talks about their failures, right? Yeah, I was living in Atlanta. I had three young kids living in Atlanta, Georgia. And I decided to invest in a limousine company with a friend of mine. And then in the interim of that, over several years, I put a lot of money into it. He didn't have any money and I had the money. So I gave the money, and then I got an opportunity to move to New York and took a C-suite position with a company that manages licensing. And 3 years later, the guy stopped paying me and vanished, took all my cars,
wow.
took everything. But you chalk it up to have agreements to avoid disagreements. And one of them is the vanishing act is really tough. So here I was trying to function in my job, my career, and then I had this investment, let's say, running, and it was humming. It was doing very well. And I lost everything, man.
Wow.
It was a financial sinkhole, that's for sure.
Wow. But what were you doing at the time? Like, what was your regular job that you were doing?
So I run a brokerage firm for brands in the women's swimwear business. And I also had a swag company where I made merchandise for companies. Actually, in my 30s was probably my most financially successful time in my life. Everything I was touching outside the limousine company was succeeding and bringing in, I call it mailbox money. So in my 30s, I had invested into many projects that went well. A swag company where I was making merchandise for UPS, Holiday Inn. I was making it for Marriott. Anybody who needed swag was coming to me. I was doing it for universities, schools. It didn't matter. But it seems to me my relationships with a lot of people was strong enough where they relied on me, and the numbers were substantial. So that was a lot of fun. It was a good time. And most of all, I think my best currency that I've ever had, and I think you would agree with this, is my currency of time. Because I've always had control of my time. And I think as I get older, even when I was younger, I realized that the currency of time was the best currency I had, because it goes away. You can't get time back. And that's probably leans into the good news only. I just, the good news is I take advantage of every moment I have and try to enjoy it to the best I can.
And you've also, what I do know about you is you also understand mailbox money.
Yeah.
And you understand that really is the only real way to generate lots and lots of time. Because if you set up a deal and you build a business or you create systems or whatever, and then you start hiring and training other people, well, that's when the money, if the business is doing well, the money flows in. And if you don't have to actually physically be there 9 to 5 every single day, that's where the time comes in. Would you say?
Yeah. 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 I mean, just the mere fact that you could say to me, hey, I've got a cancellation on the podcast and I've got an open time. Can you come join me and do this as we are here? I mean, not everybody has that leeway. There's, Warren Buffett once said, do you want to sleepwalk through life? I mean, I don't think you do. A lot of people go to a cubicle, they get their 9 to 5. And Warren Buffett said, would you wait till you're 72 to have an orgasm? I don't think so. So, and that's Warren Buffett. We can all agree that he's done it. He's done some really great things in his life. The other thing is, we talked about, like, when I was in my 30s, I was brokering a lot of licensing. I had Speedo, I had Nike, I had just legacy brands, which bring, a lot of great mailbox money along the way. But, in the brokerage business and the licensing business, which I've had a lot of experience in that. It's almost like you're a star football player or a star coach, you're hired to be fired. So like you take on a license, and then you're brokering that license. And let's say they decide, oh, we're not going to sign you up in 2 to 3 years. So you don't really own that, license. And so that's the risk. So right. You better continue to do a good job so they keep you aboard, right? No matter whether the license changes is from, the license could be with company A, and then company B sells them a bill of goods about why they could do it better than company A. And then, someone like Reebok could say, hey, because I've worked with that brand and it did happen. All of a sudden we had it for 12 years. The next thing you know, they decide they want to bring the brand to Walmart when we're selling, better department stores. Not a good scenario. So,
right.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, coaches are hired to be fired.
The big risks, I think probably the biggest risk that you take it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I see it as that risk is really the risk of getting hired and then fired, right? Because you put in a lot of energy, you put in a lot of work, you put in a lot of time and effort into creating that relationship, that partnership, that business, and then maybe 12 years later, it's gone, right? That stream of income is gone. And so, but how when you think about it though, I mean, a lot of people, oh my God, they would love to work with, Ralph Lauren or Nike or Reebok, or I mean, even if it was for 12 years, they would love to have a relationship like that. How did that start for you? Like, where did those relationships start? Where did you find them? How did you prospect for them? How were they created, man? Because that's a big deal.
So over time, the relationship capital that I was able to gain with those licenses is relationships with buyers that become divisionals, that become senior executives, that become CEOs of big retailers. Even to this day, there are relationships that I've had from 20 years ago that are now in executive positions that I could pick up a cell phone, and they will pick the phone up. And that relationship capital is what was built by those licenses. So the neat thing is, when you're with people make sure they enjoy being with you. You know? And so if I'm selling somebody a program at Macy's or Kohl's department store, or at TJ Maxx, or at Costco, Sam's, BJ's, any of the big retailers, because that's where I do a lot of my business, if that relationship is good, there's no reason why it wouldn't be good later with another brand in the event that one of your licenses decides that they're going to move on to company B instead of you. So that's where, if you have a strong relationship, you keep that relationship, and the relationship capital comes into play because they'll take your phone call, and that allows you to continue the mailbox money. And
when you look at the industry today, the clothing industry, because of course that's been a big part of your career. What's changed over the years that you've seen?
The changes are a few. There are a few things. At the buyer level, they switch buyers a lot because they're not interested in that buyer having a strong relationship with one person, because then they are going to make a decision based on the relationship rather than based on the product. So that is one change that's going on. Buyers used to stay in positions a lot longer, so they shuffle them around. So today the buyer for 2 years is your buyer, and then next thing you know, you have a whole new buyer. The neat thing about my long relationship with these retailers is that I tend to know the divisional, which doesn't change, or the vice presidents or the CEOs. They don't change that often. And if they do, it's usually to my benefit, because they'll go to another retailer and that relationship stays with me. Nobody steals your relationship if you've never did anything wrong with them, So do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And then, you can embrace the change as opposed to being upset about it. You can say, oh, great. And not only that, I've often taken the buyer position where buyers don't like, a lot of buyers that don't like to be buyers, they're the best people to hire. So I like to help buyers find new jobs with other retailers, and it's often helped, quite often helped, because
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I would keep those relationships and say, yeah, they felt comfortable. I always made people feel comfortable because I let them. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. I try to make sure people know how much I care about making them a hero in whatever we might do. And there's no reason why everybody can't win too. I think the day is over at retail today where somebody wins and somebody loses, or even in any business relationship. Why should somebody be on a losing end of a stick? Like, I'm going to come into a meeting and going, man, we're really going to win on this and they're going to lose. No, look. So I converted the name sales to serve years ago. So I like to serve people. And if you're serving them, there's so many things you could serve them. And it could be the product. It could be a relationship. It could be their next opportunity. It could be your relationship with them that helps them going forward. It may be what I teach them or what they teach me. And if we have a collaborative relationship, then, man, I'll tell you what, I can pick the phone up with a lot of people because of that, because I've never looked at it like I was trying to push something on someone. I always look at my theory is, if I can't pull it, I'll never want to push it. So if someone wants me to help them with a product, I don't want to push product on people. I want to give them a product that everybody pulls it together to win. Both sides. Win, win.
Always about. I mean, I've always said that. I mean, you always want to create win-win scenarios, man. I mean, because then, what's the point of a win-lose? I mean, there's no point, because if the other guy loses, he's probably never coming back to do business with you in the future. So you might have sold one time, but mailbox, you want mailbox money, you want massive passive income. You cannot play the win-lose game because they ain't coming back for the next time, right?
Yeah. The other change I've seen, because I've done so much with retail, is understanding the terms of your agreement. So every time you go into a relationship with a retailer, you have to know what the terms are in the agreement that you're selling into. It sounds great to sell to a store. Let's just take, Costco or Macy's. But if you don't thoroughly understand the terms, you may arrange the sale that you're going to lose just from lack of knowledge, not even the fact that they wanted you to lose, because the retailer doesn't want you to lose. They want you to win with them. They only want to buy what wins. And if something doesn't win, you need to come together and say, hey, how do we rectify this so we can give it another try? If you don't have the relationship where you're selling in on something that they took a risk, you took a risk, because you're both taking a risk when you're buying what you think somebody's going to buy at a retail store, right? So if you come to the end of the year and go, hey, man, we didn't do that well this year, and it wasn't because of poor shipping, wasn't because of poor quality, it's just that the consumer wasn't buying what you were delivering. And when you deal with stores that need to be spot on, that's really tough, because the units can be very large and the markdown could be great, where you might have a year where you didn't make any money. You might lose, but if your relationship's strong and you're meeting the agreement terms, then they give you more chances, because most of the time you'll win with them if you offer them your promise to be there for them all the time, not just some of the time.
And that just goes with the relationship. I mean, ultimately, I remember I used to tell my recruits, because when I would recruit somebody, that's I would always talk about win-win. We're going to win together, and we could do this together. And I remember always saying that, look, I just want you to know that I work for you. You don't work for me. My job is to help you become successful. That's my job. My only job right now is to help you win big. I said, if you meet me halfway, we're going to change the world together. We'll do some great things together, but you got to meet me halfway. Are you in? And so I used to get, a lot of commitments from people early on, recruits that I was, bringing on board, and I would get them to commit. So there would be some sort of leverage on that commitment, on their commitment. And by the way, if you say it, they doubt it. But if you can get them to say it, they believe it. And because anybody, they don't, nobody wants to be a liar, right? So if they say they're committed, or they say they want it, or they say they want to do something big, well, then that's awesome leverage. I mean, how important though, Mike, and I'm just curious. I mean, I know you've self-improved a lot through the years. I mean, you've been to every seminar known to man. You've read a million books. I saw in your office, you love those successories. I saw a successory picture on your wall, and you remember successories, right? That was that store in the mall a long time ago.
Store.
Yeah, that was my favorite store too, man. And so,
favorite store.
But how important is it though, like to self-improve and to learn sales, which you call serving, but obviously it's sales. I mean, how important is it to the mastery of those things?
I think it's crucial. The readers are leaders. I mean, you have to lead your journey, and if you're going to become the best version of yourself, it takes small steps. But if you're not taking the small steps, then the big steps and the accomplishments will reflect you not improving. So, I mean, for example, if you're not jumping on AI right now, I would suggest you guys get really smart at AI. I mean, I watch YouTubes on AI, and I use AI as an embracing to the betterment of my partnerships, in my delivery to my customers, in my planning and my strategy, because man, AI is a smart tool. It's one of the smartest tools ever. And if you don't embrace that, it's just a matter of embrace the journey or let it, and then you have to let it be enough. You know what I mean? And if you didn't do something today, then you can do it tomorrow, and remember, every day is a new day. You got 86,400 seconds a day. How you choose to live those seconds in a day is important. And to remind yourself, I like having sayings up on the wall, because to me, at the end of the day, it's just a reminder. You know what I mean? It's just, embrace change, earn the respect of intelligent people and the love of children, and you'll have a good day, and there's more to come. And, today can be a great day. Decide for it to be a great day. These are all reminders to yourself that you know, there is an opportunity for us all to live the fruitful life. You have to decide that you want it, and then just go for it, and don't worry about risk, because you have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions in life in order to grow. If you don't, you're really not growing. So is it uncomfortable to take risk? Sure, but the reward is so good if you accomplish what you intended to seek after, because that risk you're taking is because on the other side of it is something beautiful.
I remember I used to take a dry erase marker, and I would just write up all on my mirror, right? The mirror where I would brush my teeth or I would comb my hair, and that mirror would just be full of just all these little sayings and writings, and there's no wonder people, there's that divide. Everybody feels like, well, it's so sad that there's a rich and there's poor and there's middle class, and we can never get to the rich part, or we can never become wealthy or whatever. And I always fought back with that, because I felt like, wait a minute, we all got that 86,000 seconds a day. I mean, Bill Gates, 86 seconds is different. It's no different than mine. We have the same 86,000 seconds. And, Steve Jobs or Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or whoever it is, or Mike Nicklas or whoever. I mean, it's not that these people are better than you. It's that they just chose to do different things with their 86,000 seconds.
400 seconds. 86,400 seconds.
86,400 seconds. Exactly.
That 400 is big, man.
That's a big, it's a very important 400, so.
Daniel, if you think about life, what do you have? I look at it and go, I probably have, I'm going to say 30 more summers in my life. What do you want to do with them? Right. I mean, yeah. And then the other strong piece of advice I give people is to cultivate resilience. When things go downhill, everybody, choose to bounce forward instead of staying stuck.
Fast.
People stay
fast,
stuck.
Though. Fast.
Yeah. Because people stay in their bad moments. I remember I asked a football coach, a well-known football coach once, I said to him, I go, what's your biggest challenge in coaching? He said, convincing them they're better than that last play they didn't perform in. Because like in football, there's 11 people on the field. And if one person steps with the wrong foot, that could blow the play, believe it or not. So if you're taking a step with your left foot instead of your right foot, and then you just wallow in that, like after just like put your head down, you have to go on to the next step, and you can't let that define you. You can't let a bad play define you. It's tough, and that's a life parallel, right? You can't let a bad moment define you. And the problem is, you're always, a lot of people love to compare themselves. The only person we should ever be comparing ourselves or try to outdo is the previous version of ourselves, right? Like, just outdo yourself and you're good. Like, don't compare yourself. It's a lonely highway. I feel bad for the young kids that are just totally fixated on, comparisons on internet. And, I know people that take pictures in front of Lamborghinis that aren't theirs and show them like they're theirs. I mean, you can't compare yourself to that. It's not even worth it. It's not. You got to be present in who you are.
It's a losing game, because I just, look, I never compared myself to anybody else, but I did want to compete. I was never afraid to compete. And I had no problem saying, all right, that guy's there. He puts on his pants just like I put on my pants. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get there faster, quicker, better, whatever. I don't know what's going to happen. But what I do know is I'm going to get up every single day, Mike, and I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to study. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to stay up late. I'm going to be a person of my word. I'm going to be resilient. I'm going to be tough. I'm going to be persistent. I'm going to have courage. I'm going to walk with passion. I'm going to walk with enthusiasm, and I'm going to create my reality. I'm literally like, people look at me like I'm crazy, but I'm every day I'm creating. I'm visualizing, I'm thinking, I'm putting out energy. Like, some people don't even realize this, Mike. Like, I'll be talking to somebody and I'll actually be praying for them while they're talking. Now, I'm listening to them too, but I'll be saying things like, "You're freaking awesome, man. I believe in you, man. You're so amazing." I'll like be saying, again, I don't know how it, I believe in energy. I believe all we are is energy. So I believe that it's going to their mind. It's going to subconsciously through the energy, whatever. But I believe that, man, you get up every day and you feel like that and you start putting your best self forward every day. Nothing can stop you long range.
No, 100%. I'm going to go back to the Winnie the Pooh. I remember the last line of the Winnie the Pooh was Christopher Robin said, "You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." So if you could understand that, you can actually embrace the change, see it as an opportunity for growth, as you talked about. What do you do to grow and transformation? And nothing changes if nothing changes. Remember that. It all stays the same.
Influencer culture, Mike. So there's this massive influx of influencer culture, social media through the roof. Again, you've seen it all, Mike. You've been through every level of the fashion industry, every level of advertising, every level of business. You've seen it all, man. We're starting to see a change in culture, right? And change in way things are done. So how has the influencer culture changed the way that we all do business? And how important is it that people embrace that and, of course, understand social media and things like that?
Well, the fashion world, social media has thrown a big loop in what print ads don't even really exist. Like, it's crazy to think that the largest magazine in the world is the Costco connection. There's 78 million shipped out just in the US alone. And like an ad in there is more successful than any other print ad out there. Like, nobody is really spending a lot of money on print ad. Billboards. What is a billboard? Like, okay, if you're in Times Square, is that really helping sell your product? In the fashion world, if you don't embrace and understand social media, you may miss the boat. There's very few legacy brands, and I can think of two. Ralph Lauren is probably the most legacy brand out there that probably is getting through the marketplace without experiencing any downward turn as a brand, right? It's been out since 1972. And then the 100-year-old brand that's Carhartt is experiencing a massive appeal. And I think it has a lot to do with its I would say its growth rate. It has always been a good brand, but its growth rate is just growing like a hockey stick because of social media. Because social media, the hip hop artists are now becoming a big part of the social world, because people are watching hip hop. People in men's fashion is led by what the basketball players are wearing and whatever the quarterback's wearing in the NFL. Like, that is the TV side of it. So the mix of, all the mediums out there, whether it be X, whether it be Instagram, even Threads and TikTok, and, is TikTok still going to exist? I mean, it's to figure out where to spend your money on advertising. You better find the right influencer. So if I have Tom Brady influence something, it better be in sports or nutrition, right? Or if I'm going to have somebody in music, maybe I want to somehow get a hold of Taylor Swift, become the Swiftie. Those are all social media influencers, right? It's crazy.
And so the question is, and again, you worked with a lot of the biggest brands, and you've had, intimate conversations with the people that are running these iconic companies. What's the budget look like? Like, first, okay, let me just kind of set this up here. There's a lot of young, ambitious, small business owners watching right now. Okay. And they are a lot of them are probably in the financial world, but they're they're hungry tigers, man. They want to change their life. They don't know how to do it. They don't know what to do. So what does the budget look like? How much should we be allocating towards running ads, boosting our social media? How much needs to be organic? How much needs to, like, how should we look at this landscape of social media, and how do we make it work for us?
It's a little more challenging to get the organic piece, because let's say you're a brand. There's a great brand out there called, and I've watched his trajectory. It's called Gracious MFG, and his organic growth has been very slow. But he got started getting it onto some really strong influencer people, mainly in the NBA, and the NBA was wearing it and they were posting about it. But from a standpoint of somebody new, you're going to have to spend. I mean, I have a friend of mine who started a new brand. It's called Mama Bear recently. That's really doing extremely well, but he failed a lot at a lot of things. I mean, he failed by going to Alibaba, and Alibaba is going to ship it. And until he brought it into the U.S. to ship from the U.S., his success rate was low when he had to do it through Alibaba. And then all of a sudden he figured it out, but he failed a lot. So these young entrepreneurs that are trying to bring a brand out into the market, you're probably going to have to spend 50% of your revenue in the beginning to get the attention, so that you keep putting the money back into marketing. So if it's on Facebook and it's on Instagram and it's on TikTok, pick one initially and see if it works. And then eventually you'll get to a point where, on average, these bigger brands are probably spending 15% of revenue right now on the social media budgets.
Okay. So that's a good number, right? So I always kind of thought, and part of my expenses and my budget was in recognition for all of our agents and things like that. But we're getting into a new world where I think people need to start taking, even if you're a small brand, even if you're by yourself, there has to be a certain percentage of your revenue, whether it be 15% or 25% or 50% in the beginning. There's got to be a certain percentage of your revenue that's going back into your business. And I was never ashamed of putting money back into my business to try to help it grow. And of course, I bought a building early on because I was trying to expand my business and have more room, and bought the chairs and the LED projectors and the nice lighting and blah 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 blah, all these different things, the audio system, the speakers, all this stuff. And people don't realize how much it takes to put back into your business to help it to expand and to really grow. And I think a lot of people are so frugal in the beginning. I think they shoot themselves in the foot, and they don't grow as quickly because they're just not willing to risk the money to help expand.
Well, what I would suggest they do at that point is do it small at first and see what kind of impact you get, and do it on a gradual. Maybe you gradually do it where you spend. And then initially you spend 5% of you put a budget out first, right? And then as revenue comes in, because you have to put a budget out. And what is your budget? Well, I don't know. If you're trying to launch a clothing brand, and let's just say it's a t-shirt and hat line, right? I'd probably say spend a small amount and do ads on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook initially, and see what kind of reaction you get. Know your customer, though, know who they are, because you can pinpoint and basically target those people. And then get with a professional, get with somebody. Don't just try to shoot from the hip and think you're going to know all the answers, because you got to be able to listen to other people, because you do not know it all. I promise you. I don't know it all. Daniel doesn't know it all. But you have to allow yourself to grow at your own pace sometimes, Every experience, whether it feels like progress or setback, it's part of the path, right? So you got to embrace the journey and let it go. Let it just kind of let it go and watch it, and then pour fuel on the fire as it grows. Just fuel it. Don't be afraid. When you see something happening and working, just up the budget, because online right now, that's what's working. I mean, it's more expensive during this time of year, during Christmas, to buy ads. I mean, it's a tough time to open a brand right now, because the odds are, unless you have Oprah shouting it out as one of her favorites, you're going to have a hard time. I mean, you look at Spanx. I mean, Sarah Blakely, she's awesome, right? So she gets it. What she did, and I encourage everybody there to find read about her story, because it's amazing. Like, I would use her as one of the greatest stories of all time to sell for $1 billion, because she knew what she didn't know and she kept learning as she went, right? And then she got Oprah to shout it out, and then things just started happening. And then she started learning as you go, because you got to learn as you go, right? But if you don't take that risk, as you're saying, Daniel, then guess what happens? You're not going to reap the reward of the risk, right?
So what's next with fashion? I mean, where do you see this industry 10 years from now? I mean, because some people say that the fashion industry has been maybe, I don't know if the right word is watered down, or the creativity is somehow getting lost because of just the everything comes to market so fast, and it's just about profits, and it's just about bottom line, and it's so where do you see this all going? Where's it heading?
I think the shift in consumer buying habits is definitely changing based on social media, for sure. So the old school model was you sold it to a brick and mortar store. They put it in the store, and they managed the inventory based on what they could or couldn't reorder, and then they marked down what they couldn't sell. So it seems to be a losing battle at the end of the day, because then they would go back to their manufacturers and said, oh man, we wanted to make $100. I'm just using small numbers. And we only made $60. You owe me $40. And then you either played that relationship game and try to figure out a happy medium with that request, or you would possibly lose that partnership there. So I think what's happening right now is we have to buy on demand rather than overloading inventory. I think the best store out there for buying the right amount of goods for the right amount of consumers from a brick and mortar and .com is Dillard's. I think they're one of the greatest stores. And look at their stock. It's DDS. I mean, I think they're over $400 stock. They were pre-COVID. They were, I think, in the $30 or $40 range. But the thing about Dillard's is they buy based on what they think they could sell. And in a very short period, when they know something won't sell, they're not promoting it nationally. They're just putting it over to the side on a rack where everybody knows where to go to get, to mark it down, because your first markdown is your cheapest markdown, right? And I think the fashion shift from online is going to continue to grow. My personal opinion, it's going to continue to grow. The problem with it is the manufacturers got to get better at having people know what their size is. So if most people, I'd say the women versus men return rate is 6%. Women's return rate is much higher. I only see that getting higher in the future because they like ordering from home or ordering when they're on the road. They're constantly on their phones looking to buy what's next. And I think there'll be a lot more interactive buying. For example, Instagram will somehow get to the point where you're going to be able to buy what somebody's wearing right then and there. Rather than just an ad, it may be a big influencer that is very big. She's got 2 million, or the guy's got 2 million followers. And those partnerships are going to be able to immediately transact the sale. I think that's going to happen for sure. And I think the TV medium and all mediums are going to get better at, let's just say the next Friends or the next Seinfeld, whatever they're wearing, you're going to be able to buy it while you're watching the show. That hasn't happened quite yet. There's been a couple of attempts at it, but that's what I think is going to happen. More interactive, where if you and I are wearing something after the show, they can say, I really like, because you dress a lot better than I do. I want to wear what Daniel's wearing, and where can I get it? And they can buy it right then. So the sense of urgency out there is so amazing that I wish it would slow down, but I don't see it slowing down.
Well, progress, you just can't stop it. You cannot stop it. I've made a kind of a life decision, especially after turning 50. I've made a lot of life decisions, and I want to get your thoughts about this, but I kind of, I'm a do it now guy. I'm a fast, let's go, boom, 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 always. But I think I'm slowing down a little bit. I mean, not in like my excitement with life or anything like that, but like I want to slow live a little bit too, because my whole life has been about let's build, 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 build. And it's nice to just say, you know what? I just don't want to do anything today. Today I want to do nothing, and I just want to slow live, and I just want to have a cup of coffee, go get a nice book to read, or watch a movie, or do so. I think that there's got to be restoration in our lives as well, because man, like you said, I mean, everything's going so fast, man. Everything is just non-stop, and I think we got to be careful about it.
Yeah, what's happened is I think when we were younger, because we're a little older, I'm 10 years your senior, but we fought boredom. Now we're trying to reach boredom sometimes. So we constantly fought boredom, but how do we do it? We went outside. We played kick the can, or played catch, or played, some kind of tag game, and we were outside. We didn't have a cell phone. And, if my mom rang the bell when it was dinner time, she had a bell outside the house, ding, 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 ding. And so I think that part is, we're trying to, I think you understand what I'm saying. We're actually trying to seek some boredom. We'll call it relaxation, but it's kind of the reverse in what we experienced as young people in our lives growing up. The other thing is, I wanted to tell you, so we say the do now, and I know that's a big line for you. It always has been for me. So I worked for one of the meanest bosses in America in the 90s. Her name was Linda Walkner, and I encourage everybody to look her up. She was on the front page of Fortune magazine. She was one of the first Fortune 500 women to run a company, and which is what was a challenge back then. But she had a list. There was no to-do list. There was a do now list, and you better only have 3 things on it, because you can accomplish 3 things. You want to accomplish 10 things? Good luck, because something's going to pop in between those. So it helped you prioritize, So she always told me, Mike, you have a do now list. You don't have a to-do list. And I've lived with that almost, my entire career since the mid 90s.
I love that, man. I'm going to start doing that, because at least you have that list. And I was always pretty good at writing things down the night before as well, and just kind of having my to-do list. But I love that. Just put 3 things down. That's it. Just that day, just make sure you knock out. If you go to bed and say, I knocked out 3 little projects, or I made progress on 3 things, it could be a pretty fun day.
That's 21 items a week.
Yeah,
come on, man.
Imagine.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty awesome, and so what are some of the things though, Mike, like if you were to think about your life in reflection and you were to go, all right, man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have redid this. I wish I would have made this decision. Give me a couple of those thoughts of how you might have done things differently so we can learn. So especially the 20-year-olds out there, they can really learn and say, man, I'm not going to make those mistakes, and I'm going to maybe choose a different path.
Yeah, I would say that if I were to look back, I would have probably spent more time focusing on less about what I did and more about who I was as a person. I think what happens is in our lives, we're defined by our careers, and we're not defined by I'm having problems here again.
One.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I always thought I would like to suggest everybody do is to not be defined by your careers, but to be defined by who you are. Like some people say, oh, you got to be a different person at work. I don't think you do. I think you should be the same person. Why do you want to go to work and be somebody else? I always tell people, I'll be me, you be you, everybody else is taken. Because at the end of the day, I want to be, I want to be the person that people can turn to. I want to be like a lighthouse where if somebody's not feeling great, that they can call me and I'll try to bring some energy to them. I want to just like light up the world in a way where when I'm with them, we can bring the energy like you do when we're together, that, we can feel a positive vibe throughout our day, and
sure.
it's by choice for sure, but it's also by atmosphere, and then I probably would have taken more risk at a younger age, but, I grew up in a time where, people were going to work in a cubicle when you get out of college. You were going to the career placement center. I went to the University of New Hampshire. I went to the career placement center. Companies came in and they interviewed people. I took a trip to New York. I worked in New York City. I went in and worked in a cubicle, and I had like a lined up, everybody was lined up like they were still in school. The boss was in the back. All the people, according to their rank, you were ranked. Your value was ranked like from a very young age. And I'm like, okay, I'm in the first chair. I must not be ranked that high. And there's a whole bunch of other stories behind that, but I think I would have taken more risk. It's funny because as a kid, one of the greatest things I did, and I'm so proud of it, is I made T-shirts for the Kentucky Derby. I made 1,200 T-shirts. I paid $2 for them. I convinced my buddy to have his mother lend us the money, and that we would go down to the Kentucky Derby. I'd have my brother would create art for the Kentucky Derby, and we'd go down and sell shirts on the streets in Louisville. Now, mind you, I'm at the University of New Hampshire, but we took a risk. It worked out really well. We sold all the shirts. We made a bunch of money, and we came back, and I just got a taste for it real early in my life, but I didn't take advantage of that because, my dad died when I was 15, so I didn't really have a good, mentor from a standpoint, because you need mentors, right? So I was like, looking at everybody else my age. They were all going to work for some major corporation. Go to work, do your time, and eventually you'll have a pension. And that took me about 2 years to realize that wasn't going to work for me. I looked at people that were my age now. I said, I don't want that life, so I'm out of here. So ended up moving to California, and the rest is history. And I've moved all over. I've lived in so many cities. Chicago. I've lived in Boston, New Hampshire. I've lived in Southern Cal, Atlanta. I think I said Chicago already, and I've traveled all over the world. I think it's good to grow. If you're going to grow, I think international travel, I would have done more of that at a younger age. My kids all have, but I would have traveled more. I probably would have got out of school and gone and done, gone through hostels and just gone alone. You know what I mean? Or maybe I would have gone had a couple friends go work for a salmon fishing boat and just go out and be by yourself. Learn to be by yourself more. You don't have to be around people all the time. It's nice. It's great. Maybe it's more enjoyable, but sometimes I wish I would have spent more time doing things on my own in an adventurous way through the enchanted forest, and get off the treadmill.
just like Tigger, man. Just like Tigger. Well,
exactly. It's a wonderful thing, right?
That's it. Well, I think that's great advice, because I believe in that wholeheartedly. I think that traveling.
You did.
Well, yeah. I mean, but I really, I'm just really making sure that people are reminded that, man, there's such a big world out there, and go see it. Go see the world. Go see other cultures. And you know what's awesome too, Mike, and I know you feel the same way, because what's great about traveling too is when you come back, you feel refreshed. You feel restored. You feel like a new energy, man. I mean, I love coming back when you're somewhere far, and then there's a new appreciation for America, because as bad as you think America is, right? There's a lot of people out there. Oh, I hate this. I hate that. America's terrible and blah, blah. Like, seriously, go live somewhere else. Go live in friggin', Afghanistan, and tell me that America is not the greatest country in the world. That's why we got to protect it, right? That's why we got to, that's why we're Trumpers, or at least, we vote right, is because we believe that, like, America is going in the right direction, and we can, with the right leadership, we can take it to the right direction. And I feel so much appreciation and so grateful for America, because it's the greatest country in the world, hands down, man. I mean, nothing better. I mean, we have more opportunity, more chance. I mean, I know a lot of people from a lot of different places, and man, the opportunity that they have versus America, it's just, it doesn't exist other places like it does in America.
I think sometimes we got to ask ourselves questions, and we don't ask ourselves enough questions either. Like, what drives me? I mean, is it genuine passion for what I do, or the need to prove myself to others? Like, people are always trying to prove themselves to others. You and I don't need that. I don't need to prove myself to anybody. But it is something that I think is out there in our culture, right? Or what am I sacrificing? Am I intentionally neglecting my joy, my playfulness, my relationships? Well, like, come on, let get with it. Don't sacrifice those things in your life. Like, when you're young, realize, don't, how can I return to the, as I call it, the enchanted forest, get off the treadmill, and, once in a while, find the boredom. I call it boredom, but maybe I should be calling it adventure. Find the adventure, because you deserve it. And when you deserve it, you should give it to yourself, because that's your way to reward yourself. We don't reward ourselves enough, Right. And don't ever get into a position where I recommend people not to be. Don't be selfish. Be selfless. People like selfless people. They tend to turn to them when it comes times of advice. I mean, I work out in the weight room, and I can't tell you how many people that know me for good news only, and they'll just come in and they'll try to just tell me what's going on in their life. And I'll tell you, I strive to give them positive feedback on how they can approach it. And boy, it comes to me all the time, and bring it on, because I want to be that person.
Yeah. I mean, although I would say, for people that just want to share all their bad news all the time, to people like you, by the way, sometimes people want to bring bad news to people like me or you, because they almost feel like they want to bring I feel like sometimes people want to bring you down, like, people will look at me, especially like, I'm in I've always been try to be the most positive and energy, and try to, bring good news as well. And it feels like sometimes people want to bring you down. You got to be careful of those people, because they want to bring you to their level. And I think that it is, if you're one of those people, take a checkup from the neck up. Look, if you're having a real problem, yeah, okay, you got to go to somebody. We're going to lift you up. We're going to try to, bring some energy in your life. That's great. But to me, I just think that eventually, if you're that kind of person that's just always negative, people are going to avoid you like the plague.
Oh, 100%. The neat thing about you, that's why I love being around you, is we're present. Now is the only moment we have, right? We don't want to ruin it by dwelling on anything that's negative or toxic, or we don't want to be around it, and we stay away from it.
Right.
I mean, I think it's important to be the light. There's always something to smile or laugh about, or choose to see good in every situation. That's what good news only, stands for. See the good in everything. People that would want to challenge me, I'm welcome. You bring it on. I'll talk to you about how, whatever you're going through, there's something that you can be the good in the bad. You can, especially when it comes to people that are close to you. You want to be that person, because people have tough times. It's tough. Someone is going through a bad day. Gosh, maybe I have people that are going through midlife crisis, and they're friendly with me. I want to talk to them about it. You know what? Let's talk about it. Let's embrace who you are, and then we'll get through it, because you have so much to offer the world. And for some reason, you're challenged by something called the midlife crisis. I don't know. Maybe I know you passed yours because you're already 50.
Yeah, exactly.
43 biologically.
Well, yeah, I probably went through that. So there's no question. I mean, I've had my share of rough days the last few years. But you know what? What's amazing is that you just bounce back. And if you're grateful for stuff, I think I don't stay down very long. And some people would even call me cold, or they'll say that, I have no, feelings, or no, whatever. And I don't buy that. I mean, I really feel like, again, life's not perfect, but I feel like I'm one of the luckiest people in the world because at a young age, I got an opportunity to do something big and I went for it.
I love it. Well, you know, when I look at you, you're so grateful. The more blessings you count, the more blessings that flow to you.
It's wild how that works. And it's almost like I unlocked a secret as a young person. And it wasn't a secret because it isn't. Everybody knows it. It's just we choose not to act on it, I think, and that's why I'm grateful for my friendship with you, because you're like that, you have so much energy and you're just a good person, man. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I just want to let you know, as we kind of wrap things up, I'm very grateful for you, and I'm very grateful, just knowing that, we're going to have some cool adventures together. We're going to go do some worldwide traveling. We're going to, own some businesses together. We're going to do some really, really fun, cool things. And I look forward to that, because I think that life and again, I know it's like sometimes I feel like we're a couple of old guys talking to reflections and talking about the past and all this shit. But the truth is, man, I'm more excited about the future more than ever right now. I feel like this is the greatest time to be in business. This is the greatest time to be alive. I mean, look at us. We couldn't have done this 6, 7, 8 years ago, right? I mean, we're having a conversation. You're an hour, maybe and change away from me right now, and we're able to have a cool conversation and see each other on, and feel the energy and get excited and talk about business, and we should do this more often, by the way, and yeah. But I just feel like this is a great time to be alive. And so as we close out, man, give us some words of wisdom, give us some words about what you think, how great you feel the future is, and also how we can connect with you. Because there's people, they want to get a t-shirt, Good News Only. They want to get a hat. They want to know what kind of other brands you're a part of. I know you're part of a macadamia nut company, which they're awesome bars, by the way. I mean, tell us a little bit about some of the things so we could, as our audience, can try to help support you in some way. We're all going to follow you on Instagram, so don't worry about that. You're going to get a bunch of new followers, bunch of new friends, bunch of new people. But tell us a little bit more about you and how we can serve you.
Yeah, well, you can follow me at Good News Only 1. Somebody already had the name Good News Only on Instagram, so I've got the number 1 next to mine, which there's only one there. Okay. And then you could also go to goodnewsonlycollection.com. That's goodnewsonlycollection.com. You also can go to houseofmacadamias.com. I'm advising a very great entrepreneur. His name is Brandon, and his partner Brendan. They're amazing, and they work with someone that from Blueprint. That their products, they do all the macadamia nut products for Blueprint. So that's exciting. And, I guess in closing, I would say that just be present, and be present in your relationships, whatever they are, professionally or in your family, with your friends. And, there's lots of adventures out there to still put on your bucket list. And, make sure your state of mind is rooted in joy, curiosity, playfulness, and connection. And remember, as a leader in your own life, you have to challenge yourself to rethink and redefine what truly matters in your life. And I'll tell you, the currency of time is the most important thing that you have. It's the most valuable thing you have, and you can't not get time back. So hug somebody, love somebody, call somebody, and just be the lighthouse for everybody. If you're the lighthouse for everybody, I'm telling you, life changes. That's the truth.
Love it, man. Well, I appreciate you, man. And everybody, do me a favor, go out and say hello to Good News Only 1, Mike, and tell him that you got to know him through Wealth on the Beach podcast, and let him know that we appreciate his wisdom, his life of success, and the not only success in business, guys, but he's built a really amazing family with great kids, and just a great partner in life. And Melissa is just freaking awesome. Got to hang out with her the other day, and really, really lucky man right here. You're looking at a super, super lucky person. But he created that. And remember that you can create the most amazing life that you have ever dreamt of, but you got to make that decision. And so if you want any other connection with me, or you want to know more about me, make sure you go out and get Wealth on the Beach, the book. And also we're on Audible as well. If you don't like to read like me, I like Audible better than reading personally. And then also I have wealthonthebeach.com, which is my coaching program. So we're signing up people every single day for Wealth on the Beach Club. And it's just a one-on-one with me every single week, or at least a live, we do a live Zoom every single week, Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we have a great time. So anyways, with that said, everybody continue to dream bigger than ever, get after it. But most importantly, do it now. God bless you. We will see you,
guys
at the top.
See ya.
Thanks, brother.
See you, buddy.